Welcome back to the Modern Retail Experience, the series that delves into the latest trends, market changes, and technological advancements that are shaping the world of retail. Now more than ever, customers are looking for value, but what exactly does value mean in today's retail world? With increasing demand for accurate, automated pricing, retailers are faced with a unique challenge. And today we're going to explore how stores can leverage their existing IoT assets to redefine retail and deliver the kind of value that keeps customers coming back. So join us as we explore all that the modern retail experience has to offer and discover how retailers are using technology to stay ahead of the curve.
So I do think that, looking and counting your pennies for our customers in the retail environment is here pretty much to stay in a little bit more than the medium term, maybe even to the long term. With a little bit of an exception, I think that when we look at pricing and the retailers trying to be competitive, I think one of the important things to look at is whether the retailer can get to a lower price by offering the same level of product. So if they have to get to a lower price by offering an inferior product, I think it's going to hurt customer loyalty in the long run, because a low price on a product doesn't necessarily guarantee that their customer is getting a quality product.
Economic uncertainty has been there for quite some time. The coronavirus brought a lot of disruption in the supply chain, and consumers got used to inflation, pricing being inflated based off of demand and what was available in the market. So I think that all in all, this made consumers very price sensitive, and now they're more conscious as to what they can get from a value perspective out of the money they're going to be putting into products. So from a short to long-term perspective, yes, I do believe that this pricing aspect is here to stay.
My personal definition for value would really be the optimal trade-off point between quality and price that leaves consumers feeling justified in spending. But I think for consumers, what they think value is or how they're defining value is really just about the best, which is the lowest price. I don't think consumers are thinking about quality as much in their equation around value. They certainly care about quality. They're not trying to just throw away their money because they are so cost conscious.
You can go back and you look at the statistics, and it's pretty clear that inflation has far outpaced wage growth. So when you have that discontinuity between your cost increasing your general wages, then people feel like they're getting further and further behind. And when that occurs, people have a more constrained sense of value. I think they feel like they're being taken advantage of, especially housing and food hit substantially harder. And that affects really everybody. And if you're living paycheck to paycheck, you're going to be much more price sensitive to those everyday staples that you really need inflation as well. So it leaves Americans facing some really, really tough decisions.
When I think of IoT, I think data. And how can we take a look at what's in our retail stores from a camera standpoint, from a sensor standpoint, any type of connectivity standpoint, and figure out how I can take that data and collect it? That's going to be a pretty interesting thing to take a look at, especially around generative AI. So how can I take a look at the elasticity of each product based off of the price, how a promotion may impact purchasing or not purchasing that product, and then also looking at the data collected by the IoT devices from a shopper history and preference standpoint, and then analyzing all of that to help determine what the price of each product in the store can be, if that's higher and or lower, and what they can sustain. And then if you have customers, obviously, or retailers that have existing IoT solutions like ESL, how can they completely automate that price change at scale is going to be very much easier for them.
Those two aspects are important from a retail side of things. I mentioned that operational efficiency is one thing. When you do not have to send your team members or through the entire night to go and make pricing swaps is something that's going to alleviate a lot of the workload and also make sure that errors are limited. Because obviously, when you do have manual operations, there's always room for errors. So that is one of the things that is a very key benefit for retailers and one of the prime drivers of moving to digital pricing. There's There's obviously the revenue and the margins that are going to come into play. Again, going back to being able to execute a promotion on time is something that is designed to increase revenue for retailers. Historically, promotions or that kind of things are something that are driving sales. So once it's executed at the right time, retailers can benefit from that.
I think when consumers think about pricing schemes and strategies from retailers, they tend to assume that retailers are always focused on themselves and securing the prices that will drive the most margins, but at the expense of consumers being vulnerable or needing an item in a given moment. The reality is that automated pricing can really help consumers get products at the prices that are best for them as well. Like sometimes it can mean lower prices than would be typical in a given market. So for customers, I think, the benefits to automated pricing can be better, more relevant, personalized deals and discounts. And on the retailer side, it can make things smoother from an inventory management perspective. They can be clearing product at a necessary pace. They can be kind of cleaner and more streamlined with their product data as well. Whenever you have automation in there, hopefully that automatically means there's kind of data streamlining happening and better data management.
Every IoT device that you bring onto your network is a potential access point. In being an access point, it means it's also a potential vector or an entrance point for a threat actor. So it really ratchets up the security requirement. It sets your security standard higher, and I think it really brings your security under a magnifying glass.
We look at IoT devices as an entry point for anybody to get into your system and potentially do harm. So being able to take a look at multi-factor authentication so that when you have associates log in to make those changes, they're making sure that that's the person that has the permission to do so, encrypting that data as you transfer it from the store to your data center to then analyze it. And then I think key is really segmenting your network in your store to minimize the interconnectivity between what network potentially the customers are accessing and what network the associates and the back office employees are accessing.
Security is one of the key points that a retailer must consider. So my recommendation here would be, choosing the right partner and ensuring certification, IP patents, making sure that, you're going for an organization that's going to be able to make their portfolio safe so that you have this peace of mind when it comes to rolling out. And the encryption typically is something that would be important. Taking the example as using standards tomorrow, because the Bluetooth SIG released a new standard for retail, is something that's going to be emerging more and more as we go. So retailers will have the ability to consider systems that are using an open standard. This is something that is a wonderful change and that we're very much believing in here at VusionGroup. The thing is, a standard can be implemented different ways, and the security that comes with the standard might be strong enough, but limited to some of the aspects of the system chain. And this is something that I think the IT stakeholders need to be mindful of in choosing their partner.
Retailers can definitely deal with a consumer who's a little wary and vigilant and worried when integrating automated pricing systems. There's also the challenge of the technology needing to be compatible with their existing infrastructure or can easily be added into their existing infrastructure if it's going to be something new that they're rolling out. Otherwise, they'll risk breaking the system or causing some sort of a domino effect of different applications not working, because usually there is some sort of an ecosystem happening, especially in the context of IoT and automated pricing. So you have to be really careful of how the applications are set up to work together, because if they're not set up to work together, then if one thing breaks, the whole system kind of breaks.
Table stakes things that you really need to do when implementing, IoT devices. First is unique device identifiers. You need to have an encryption that is full encryption from, data store to all data transport and all point in betweens. Continually require mutual authentication among devices as protective defense. The need to leverage both public and private device key pairs so that an attacker would be required to have both keys to authenticate, which really makes it a very, very challenging scenario for a would-be attacker to be able to breach the system by requiring both a public and a private key to authenticate.
In our next episode, as part of the Data Driver series, we'll discuss the challenges of rising customer acquisition costs and how retailers can leverage the latest tech to reduce these costs. To learn more about the Retail Cloud Alliance, don't forget to click the link below and subscribe to our channel so you're first in line to watch the latest episodes.